Dear students, in my previous class, I have dealt with the first stanza of the poem An Elementary School Classroom in a Slum by Stephen Spender. In this class, I am going to deal with the second and the third stanza of the poem. Before I move on to the explanation part, let me recapitulate the theme of the poem. In this poem, Stephen Spender deals with the theme of social injustice and class inequalities. He presents the theme by talking of two different and incompatible worlds. The world of the rich and the civilized has nothing to do with the world of narrow lanes and cramped holes. The gap between these two worlds highlights social disparities and class inequalities. Now, let me read the second stanza for you. On sour cream walls, donations, Shakespeare's head. Cloudless at dawn, civilized doom, riding all cities, belled flowery Tyrolese valley, open handed map awarding the world its world, and yet for these children, these windows, not this map, their world, where all their future is painted with a fog, a narrow street sealed in with a lead sky, far, far from rivers, capes, and stars of words. Now, in this stanza, the poet describes about the pathetic condition of the classroom and the children. He says that how they are dejected and unwanted, how the classroom is unpleasant, dull, and all the things presented in the classroom has come from donation. The classroom is not well maintained. The pale cream walls, which were painted long ago with the help of donations, make the place look more miserable and sad. Probably there is a portrait of Shakespeare on the wall. This is ironical as it is put up in a place where there is no serious teaching. Cloudless dawn and civilized doom suggest the monotonous life in the slum. These slums are surrounded by the civilized city, and the children cannot experience the beauty of the sky at dawn and are unaware of it. All around them are concrete structures of the cities. The life in the slum contrasts with the cloudless sky at dawn and concrete structures which override the cities. There is also a picture of a beautiful valley, that is Tyrolese Valley, full of sweet, fragrant flowers, and these children of the slum will never be able to experience this beauty. They are deprived of this beauty as they are condemned to live in the slums amidst garbage. The open handed map in the classroom contrasts with their world. The world given to us by God is full of all the bounties, whereas the world of these slum children is full of poverty and hunger. The world which they see is not the real world. Their world is confined to the narrow, dusty streets of the slum. The map in the classroom gives them hopes and aspirations and motivates them to explore the world, but they will never be able to see that world. These children can get the glimpse of the outside world from the windows, and it is far beyond their reach. They are far away from nature. These slum children have a bleak and foggy future in store for them. Their future is painted with a fog. It is blurred by hopelessness. There is no hope for the slum children. Instead of the normal blue sky, they live under the lead sky, dark and dull, polluted. Shows there is no hope for them. The atmosphere hints at their monotonous life, and the slum children remain confined throughout their lives, confined to the filth and dirt of the narrow slum streets. They're away from the glory of natural beauty of the rivers, mountains, stars, etc. Now, let me read the third stanza of the poem. Surely Shakespeare is wicked, the map a bad example, with ships and sun and love tempting them to steal for lives that slyly turn in their cramped holes, from fog to endless night. On their slag heap, these children wear skins peeped through by bones and spectacles of steel with mended glass, like bottle bits on stones. All of their time and space are foggy slum. So blot their maps with slums as big as dome. In the third stanza, the poet describes the real picture of these children. These children of the slum are fighting the battle of life unarmed. They are troubled by disease and despair. For them, Shakespeare is wicked and Map a bad example. The literary excellence of Shakespeare and the scenic beauty portrayed in the Map cannot relieve them from their despair. For these slum children, literary excellence is a far fetched thing and hence seems wicked. The map on the wall gives them false aspirations as it makes them aware of the beautiful world given by God. The world of these children is confined to the narrow streets of the slums. Therefore, map is a bad example. They feel cheated in being deprived of the thrilling sensations of the sun, the ships, and the emotions of love. The ship, sun, and love symbolize joy and happiness, which these children are deprived of. Their only experience is that of hunger and poverty. To reach out to the world beyond, these children are sometimes tempted to adopt wrong means, even stealing to fulfill their dreams. Their these slum children live in cramped holes, striving and struggling for survival in the small, dirty rooms from fog to endless night, from foggy mornings till long endless nights, trying to meet both ends. The slum children live on slag heaps, piles of waste material. Their world is full of dirt and garbage. These children are very weak and undernourished. They look like skeletons as their bones peep through their thin skin. They wear spectacles of steel with mended glass, discarded spectacles by the rich. They are mended, they are repaired, and then worn. Their life is like bottle bits on stones, shattered and broken like bits of bottle on a stone. They are deprived of even the basic amenities of life. Their world is comprised of the foggy slums where they live nightmares. Slums are the reality for these children, their home where they spend their life. The maps displayed in their classroom are no reality for them. They cannot locate their slum in that map. It is urgently required to give these slum inhabitants means and opportunities to lead a dignified and civilized life. Now, let me deal with the poetic devices used in the second and the third stanza of the poem. Now, first one you can see here is I have used first I have put in priority pun. Sour cream, literal meaning the neglected walls have turned dirty yellow, dull, unpleasant. Figurative meaning a dismal place where all dreams would turn sour. Next is lead sky, literal meaning sky polluted with industrial fumes. Figurative meaning a sky that does not open opportunities but weighs down heavily, blocking all escape from the slums. Now, metaphor used in the second and the third stanza, futures painted with a fog, sealed in with a lead sky. Civilized doom riding all cities. Lives that slyly turn in their crammed holes. Fifth one, on their slag heap. Sixth, spectacles of steel. Seventh, stars of words. Eighth, from fog to endless night. Ninth, where skins peeped through by bones. Tenth, these windows, not this world, our world. Next, we see simile. Simile, first one is like bottle bits on stones. Second, slums as big as doom. Repetition, far, far from rivers, capes, and stars of words. Alliteration, surely Shakespeare. From fog. Third one, bottle bits. Irony here is surely Shakespeare is wicked. The map, a bad example. Now, let us move on to the symbolism used in the poem. Civilized doom riding all cities. Cities that show civilizational progress and marvelous architecture. Open-handed map, a map drawn arbitrarily by the people in power and the privileged. Map with slums as big as doom. The grim reality of the lives of slum children. Windows are the symbolism of windows of the slum classroom do not open out to opportunities and the wide world. They show only fog covered slums. Personification here is riding all cities. Riding all cities is personification. Thank you, children. In the next class, I will deal with the fourth stanza of the poem.